Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko, and we begin tonight with what many are describing as a significant loss to people in Gresham and beyond. And that is because in March, the only place to give birth in a hospital setting in that community will be closing its doors. Our Catherine Cook is in the newsroom tonight. Catherine, you've been talking to people who say they will be deeply impacted.
David, for many people in East Multnomah County, Legacy Mount Hood is the hospital they rely on in a location they can access without hardship. Starting March 17th, people expecting babies, including those in labor, will be redirected to Randall Children's Hospital in North Portland, 17 miles away. Now, I spoke with current and former employees at Mount Hood's birth center who asked to remain anonymous. All told me they're concerned by how closing the birth center will impact their patients, many from marginalized communities already struggling to access health care. Legacy Mount Hood Medical Center sits on Southeast Stark near 257th Drive in Gresham, on the outskirts of Troutdale. When its birth center closes March 17th, community advocates say many in this area will suffer. By email, Gresham City Council President Sue Piazza told KGW, "This is a huge loss and disappointment to our city. Today, Gresham is the fourth largest city in Oregon. We are the most diverse and have a large underserved population. Gresham and our neighboring cities of Sandy, Troutdale, Fairview, and Wood Village need Legacy Mount Hood to reconsider this decision." Legacy Health announced their decision to close Mount Hood's birth center on Monday. They said they're facing a concerning trend of financial losses in the aftermath of COVID-19, much like hospitals across the country. After months of researching options, hospital officials zeroed in on the Family Birth Center, which they said maintains a low volume of births with an unusually high-cost care model. Through September of last year, you can see Legacy Mount Hood delivered 562 babies. That's about 100 less than Legacy Good Sam and less than half the number of babies born at Legacy Emmanuel. In a statement from Legacy Health, officials said, "We explored all possible options to continue operating the Family Birth Center to deliver safe, quality care in a cost-efficient and sustainable model. Unfortunately, we could not identify a model that met all the criteria for Legacy and our providers." According to the Oregonian, Legacy officials had tried to restructure Mount Hood's birth center and lower its costs. But then 4 of the birth center's 7 doctors quit over dissatisfaction with the restructuring plans. Legacy officials said that left them with little choice but to close. David.
Even so, your heart goes out to those folks who will no longer have that option close to home. Thank you, Catherine. We've got a sad update tonight in the case of a missing Gladstone man. Sheriff's deputies say the body of Kyle Kirchum has been found near a campground in the Mount Hood National Forest. Now, Kirchum's family reported him missing back in November. Authorities later found his car off the road near Highway 224. But no signs of him. Then yesterday, family members who were out searching discovered a piece of Kirchum's clothing and later found his remains. No word yet on his cause of death. Let's get to a developing story tonight and a tow truck operator who calls himself extremely lucky. He was stopped while helping someone along I-84 in Portland when he was nearly killed in a hit and run. Tonight, police are now searching for the person they say was behind the wheel of a second tow truck. Our Mike Better talked to the survivor over FaceTime in the hospital.
Physically, I'm fairly beat up.
From his hospital bed, Arthur Walker recalls the hit-and-run crash on I-84 that could very well have killed him.
It's physically hard to move my leg with the amount of swelling and pain.
The 27-year-old Walker is a tow truck operator for Northwestern Towing. Around 6:45 Sunday morning, along I-84 westbound near Cesar Chavez, Walker was prepping a vehicle for tow when he saw another vehicle coming towards him.
Just drifted closer and closer to me until they eventually hit me and threw me out into the lane.
Walker says he mustered up enough strength to move himself to the shoulder as the driver who hit him continued down the interstate.
I don't know what type of person could just leave somebody on the side of the road like that.
James Jerome is the operations manager at Northwestern Towing. He says what makes this crash so troubling is one specific detail about the suspect vehicle. Police say it's a tow truck.
We don't think it was intentional, but you messed up. You made an accident. Own up to it.
Jerome is using this opportunity to remind all drivers to slow down and move over if you see emergency vehicles, including tow trucks, on the side of the road. It is Oregon law, by the way.
We don't want to bury our own. We don't want to bury anybody. We want to continue going home and continue doing what we do.
Arthur Walker will get to do just that, having escaped the crash with only a broken arm and broken leg, among other injuries.
It's not every day that someone in my industry gets half as lucky as I did.
I'm Mike Benner for KGW News.
Thanks to Arthur for sharing his story today. All right, meteorologist Joe Ranieri joins us now. Joe, so glad those winds have finally eased, but it's definitely chilly out there.
It's still not very comfortable out there. We're sitting at a temperature of 32 degrees. And I tell you what, David, these temperatures are just going to continue to drop heading into the overnight hours. This is a live look looking toward downtown Portland. You notice the wind chill there. It feels like it's 32 degrees. So not a big difference between the air temperature and the wind chill, but we'll still be seeing that cold air in place starting off tomorrow morning. Again, as we put this into motion, you can see just before 6 o'clock tomorrow morning throughout the Portland area all the way down into Eugene, you're going to be looking at temperatures in the low to mid 20s. There could be a few locations that are right around 18 to 20 degrees. Once again, that was the case earlier this morning. Vancouver was at 17 degrees, and over in Hillsborough, you saw a temperature of 18 to start things off. But heading into the afternoon tomorrow, won't have as much of the sunshine, but our temperatures will be just a little bit warmer by a couple of degrees or so, right around the low to the mid 40s. And we're going to be staying dry in pretty much the entire week. I talk more about that in about 10 minutes about when we'll be seeing some changes move in with your forecast.
Change is the word. Thank you, Joe. All right, even with temperatures once again dipping below freezing tonight, Multnomah County has actually closed its shelters. You might remember they use a few different metrics. In this case, since it is dry and forecasted, the temperatures will not dip to 25 or below. Though we should mention there are plenty of people who are looking to stay warm overnight. More than 80% of the available beds in warming shelters in the county were filled last night. Meanwhile, in Washington and Clackamas County tonight, folks who need a place to go have options.
And we know that this is a life-saving service for people experiencing homelessness to have somewhere to get inside and get warm and have a hot meal. And so we are keeping our shelters open overnight.
Well, let's show you a full list of what's open in Washington and Clackamas counties. For Clark County, just check out our article that's up now on KGW.com. Tonight, Portlanders are remembering Multnomah County's longest-serving district attorney, Mike Shrunk. The Oregonian reporting that Shrunk passed away today at the age of 80. Shrunk led the DA's office for over 3 decades, from 1981 to 2012. He spoke tonight to the lawyer who took over the top job from him and worked with him for decades. Former DA Rod Underhill says he will always remember Shrunk's compassion, not just for crime victims, but for the accused.
He led by being in the back of the room, which is, to those who knew Mike, knew that he was a very humble man who expected the highest out of himself and of others, and that he would bring to any setting that he was in a degree of extreme competence, composure, commitment, professionalism, ethics, and as I've already said before, compassion and empathy.
Leading from the back of the room, Shrunk was perhaps best known for the launch of the second drug court in the country with the goal of helping defendants get treatment instead of time in prison. He will be missed.